it's Alex again, and we are still on our Sandbox. Hope you've been watching all the videos so far. So here we try to set up the system for Jenkins-based lights out test automation. So I'm on jenkins.io and downloading the Windows installer. So that's running here. And once downloaded, you can start the installer and keep most of the defaults. Well, I'm choosing here a custom location, maybe Jenkins /server, because there will be an agent on this machine too. It's a single stack, so we don't have separate Jenkins agents. I'm using local system, which is fine by me. It's a sandbox after all. Then the port number, default port should be fine. There's a test button, which we can, of course, peruse and check if the port is free. That's the case. It locates a JDK that's already installed. If not, you have to get a JDK 8 or 11. And it recommends 11, but we do fine by JDK 8 here. Yeah, keep the defaults on this one. And we can install. Shouldn't take too long. So Jenkins is installed, and it's installed on Windows as a service. So let's check it out. Refresh the services here, and letter J is for Jenkins. It's set to automatic start, and I tend to change that to manual. But leave it running. So we are going to log in. So should be on HTTP localhost 8080. It's probably still starting up, but yep, should be a few moments away from being fully operational. There it is. First time you log in, you are prompted to open an initial admin password file. It reveals the path. So you can take that path, press Windows R to run it and open it with Notepad. It's one way to do it. And there's your password for the admin user. You provide that password that you found, and then there's a wizard starting. So we can save that password in that sandbox. Should be fine. Saving it in the browser for the admin user. We will skip the plugins installation. So don't go here and install any plugins. And in real life, you probably already have a Jenkins instance that you use and you can reuse for Siebel test automation. Okay, so ready, and that's the home page. And now it's a good time to check out the testing guide in Bookshelf. So release at the time of recording is 22.4. Go to the guides and open the Testing Siebel Business Applications guide, because that has actually the instructions for Jenkins chapter 11. So I've completed these steps here. So basically Jenkins is installed and it's running. And next is setting up the plugins. So there are actually two plugins we require for Siebel test automation. One is a standard plugin, not by Oracle, node and label parameter it's called. And the second is the actual Siebel test execution plugin provided by Oracle. So let's take care of these plugins. So to Jenkins we go. And there's Manage Jenkins, and there's Manage Plugins. There we go. So under Available, you can do a search for Node and Label. There it is. So that's the plugin we are going to install. So you select the plugin, install without restart should be fine. So it should take a few moments. So looking good here. Okay, another one. This time we go to, well, let's check installed. That's a good idea, yeah. And in advanced, we have to upload the STEHPI file provided by Oracle. So down somewhere here, there's deploy plugin. You can pick the file. And the file is in the Siebel server. So you go to your Siebel server home. And it's in the plugins folder. So there's a whole folder and there's one plugin. Okay. And then, well, click deploy. So that is successful. Great. So now we can check again in under installed. Okay, list has grown, funny enough, but where's the Siebel plugin? Let's search for it. Okay, making sure it's really installed and ready to go. So next page in the bookshelf guide is about setting up the Jenkins secondary nodes. So you need an agent or a secondary node. You do that under Manage Nodes and Clouds. And there's the built-in node for the master server. And bookshelf guide says we should add a label, master, and make sure usage is use as much as possible. So that's the master node. Then there's a note about global security, so setting random port selection for agents. Okay, it says so in bookshelf, so let's do it. So go back to manage, go to configure global security, and somewhere there is the TCP port selection. Yeah, let's check random. So it is disabled by default, which is probably not good. And now we can add a secondary node machine. Okay, let's do it. So we go to Manage Nodes. New node is in the menu. Node name, we pick the computer name and make it a permanent agent. And click Create. Then enter at least the required field, the remote root directory. So that will be the directory where the agent executes. So I'm creating a new folder here under the Jenkins folder. Your mileage will vary on this. That's just one way to do it. So let's add a new node folder here under Jenkins. So that'll be the root for the node. Then there's a few other things, label and usage we should set according to documentation. So the label really can be anything, arbitrary string. It's used as much as possible, and probably nothing else to do here. Yep, so let's save it. All defaults are good. Nothing to see here. Okay. So the node is here, but it's not ready, so we have to launch it. If you click on the node, you see options to launch, and I'm diverting a little bit from Bookshelf here. I click Launch Agent from Browser, so that downloads a JNLP file, which you must keep. Chrome doesn't like it really, and if you run that file, you have to, well, allow running this application, and it starts in a window. So that's good enough. The agent is now connected, but there's an option there. If you click the window, the title, you get a file menu. So that's a little bit hidden, and then you can install it as a service. So the agent becomes a Windows service. And that's more convenient for our purposes here. So we have a node that's online, so there's no error message, and there is a service. So if we reload the services, we have a Jenkins agent. Automatic as well, so let's set it to manual. All right, almost there. So what does Bookshelf say? Now we are creating the Freestyle project for actually running the Siebel automated test. You can give it any name, must be Freestyle project, the only option here. And in the build section, add a build step using the menu and pick Siebel test execution. Remember, that's a plugin, and it asks for the DISA location. That's the location on the agent machine where you have to install DISA, the proper browser, and the browser driver. And the server URL, that's the REST, let's call it REST base URL, because it's not a REST endpoint. It just goes up to the Siebel folder, no slash at the end, and it will use that URL to make REST and SOAP calls. So Jenkins server will make REST and SOAP calls into Siebel using that URL and user and password. No parameters needed, and we're good to go. So we have a Jenkins project, and now we are in Siebel. We have to create a project in Siebel as well. It's not related to Jenkins really. You will see where we will use this project. So I've created a project, test automation project, and we will need that when we set up the test plan. So next thing you need is a test plan. So you go to release screen, test plan administration. There's a test plan I created, and the release field, that's actually where you pick that project. Again, this has nothing to do with the Jenkins project, but it's a required field for the functionality that we will see during our final test. So what we're about to do is, of course, we want to give it a run. And so we need a test script. So we have a test script already. check out the other video in the playlist if you have yet to find out how that works. So we can create a test set then with that release project, and then drill down on the test set and click add test scripts, and there you can add your, well, test scripts. Close the pick list. And now we need a master suite. Master suite is a list of test sets. So create an active master suite, pick that project in the release, drill down, and you can add test sets. So now we have one test set to add here. So we have a very simple, tiny little master suite, but good enough for giving it a quick test, kicking the tires. So now we can create a test execution record, which refers to the master suite. Here we go. So use the form applet, easier to use. Select your master suite, and there's another required field. He would get stuck. Not for long. Okay, forgot that. Let's undo the record. We can't fill in the required field. So go to the quality screen. And in the quality screen, there's a release product administration view. There, create a product. It can have any name. And enter version and build number and the language. Target version maybe, not sure if that's required. I'll just check it and save the record. Okay, so now you could have done this before the test execution. We go back to test execution. Now we can pick the application version, which is in fact a release product in quality, and we can pick the master suite we created. So that's all the fields you really need to set for a quick test, and you can save that, and that will populate the server credentials and user list. So make sure you have the correct browser and the URL, which is basically what you provide to DISA to connect to. And we can copy the call center URL from the browser. Make sure we paste that correctly, and then enter the password for the admin user to use by DISA to log in. And now click Schedule Run. This will change the status to requested and put it in read-only, and generate 2 attachments on the bottom of the view. Those 2 attachments will be downloaded by Jenkins. You don't have to do anything here. The Siebel side is done. So now the Jenkins project, you can run the build. So click the drop down, run the build, and it starts running, expecting it not to work first time. Okay, so let's check it out. What happened? So here is the run. Check the console output. There was an error, and the console output shows something wrong with security validator certification path. So certificates is the problem. And indeed, the REST call, the Jenkins tries to make a REST call to Siebel, and it does not trust our self-signed certificate. So here I use the browser to download the root certificate. So make sure you select the root certificate, download it to a CER file. Okay, there's one already, but let's replace it. And for good measure, not shown here, but you can add this root certificate to your Windows. Install it in Windows, trusted root. And here's the command to import it into the JDK CA certs, Certificate Authority Certificates file. using the key tool. It's available in any JDK or JRE. So that's already run. That's the JDK CA certs, and repeat that for the JRE CA certs. So we have both JDK and JRE here, so just make sure it's in both. That's the Java Standard Trust Store, and Jenkins uses this Java Standard Trust Store. Okay, so take a note of this command line. And there's no other CA certs that we need to take care of for Jenkins, I hope. So we can just try again. So we build the test execution again. So now it starts, and remember we use Chrome for the test. So console output shows something's running, so it's definitely better than before, but once DISA kicks in with the browser driver, it closes all instances of Chrome, including the one we just looked at. Okay, that's just because we are on a single stack machine. But you see on the task manager, Chrome is very busy. So there's actually DISA using the browser driver, Selenium, and Chrome to run. So just watch the task manager, and once this subsides, you can log into Siebel again. Give it a little bit of time. Depends on your script, how long it takes. And now, for good measure, we log into Jenkins again. Now let's check out the test execution run. So that was a good run. And the console output says everything was successful from the Jenkins side. And now we can check out the test execution record in Siebel. So sitemap we go. Go to test execution and should have a status of completed. And there's the server it ran on. And here are two new attachments. So that one is the reports generated by DISA and uploaded here as a zip. So let's check that out first. Download the zip file and go to the downloads folder, extract it. So, and inside that you go down until you find a logs directory. And check out the master suite HTML. So there's an HTML file with master suite, and there you have the report, so you can drill down until the test case or test script report. So that's one. Of course, we have proof that it worked. Now the XML file is the test passes. Select that, click create test passes. That should work too. That's the final step. We verify, then go to the test pass view, and you should have a test pass record. If you drill down, it should have all the scripts with their pass or fail state. Great. Congratulations. Thanks for watching.